Shio, my name is Chris McCoy. I'm here with Chief Sneed. Chief Sneed, we had some updates on the checkpoints that you wanted to give the public.
Sure. Just in general, so one of the concerns I had, obviously everybody knows we have the main checkpoint at 441. We have Highway 19 in Birdtown and Highway 19 up at the top of the mountain, which those two checkpoints we closed down at the curfew hours. We still have officers there, but it's just we're not allowing any access at those checkpoints. You have to come through the main checkpoint.
Gotcha.
The concern I have is I'm seeing a lot of posts on Facebook where people are posting things like, the police are allowing cars through with out-of-state tags.
Right.
And what I want to say is because someone has an out-of-state tag doesn't mean that they're not authorized to be on the reservation. We have tribal members. That it was interesting because I have a vehicle that has an out-of-state tag that I drove to the reservation the other day. I'm going to get it changed, I promise. But I still own a vehicle that has an out-of-state tag on it. So I started asking, what concerned me was there were some disparaging remarks about our officers. And I would say this, our officers are out there on the front line on this. They're out there when it's raining. They're out there when it's cold. They're out there on 12-hour shifts. And I would really like to ask the public, those people who are making those comments, to please stop. Because what our officers need right now is our support. They don't need people criticizing what they're doing. I can assure you that any car with an out-of-state tag that is allowed on the boundary is authorized because we still have 122 casino employees that are there. That's their skeleton crew is 122.
They're essential to keeping that operation moving and closed.
Many of them have out-of-state tags. We have college students who are enrolled members who are returning from other states and coming home, and they have an out-of-state tag on their car. We have hospital workers, and we have a lot of hospital workers who have out-of-state tags. We do have things in place to where, like with the hospital workers and any of these other essential businesses where they are supposed to go to their workplace and then off the boundary. So I want to give a count because I had asked the police to start counting how many cars they're turning away. Yesterday, there were 38 cars turned away with out-of-state tags. On Sunday, 3/29, there were 30 cars turned away from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then on the third day of the shutdown, I had gone to each checkpoint, just spent some time with the officers. I was up at the head of SoCo. It was raining. It was cold. And I said, well, guys, how many out-of-state tags you seeing? They said, well, already today we've turned away cars from Florida, from New York, from South Carolina, from Virginia, from Washington State, from Oregon. And I asked them, I said, well, what did they say they were here for? Oh, we just want to ride around the reservation. So our law enforcement officers are doing what needs to be done, and they're keeping us safe. And I guess my plea to the public is don't freak out when you see an out-of-state tag. An out-of-state tag doesn't mean that we've just let anybody on. If they're not part of the essential workforce. And the other part, too, we have business owners who own businesses on the boundary who have out-of-state tags. They are authorized to go to their place of business. Even if their business is closed, they're authorized to be in their business and working. They just can't be open to the public. So
I know on my way in, even just to shoot the film with you today, two of the cars in front of me were turned away. So I know that it's actually happening. Now let's speak a little bit to the out-of-state tags that are related to maybe the construction teams. Is that that's kind of a separate matter and something you've paid a lot of attention to?
It is. We looked at the two major construction projects that we have going on right now at the boundary, and of course that's phase 2 of the hospital, which I believe is Robertson and Morton is the name of that company, and then Whiting Turner, who is doing the convention center and hotel at the casino. So met with Whiting and Turner like the day one of the shutdown, or it was actually the day before the shutdown, to say, okay, well, how are we going to handle this? They have reduced their workforce down to, I think, about 150 guys. They've cut their work week down to 4 days. They work 4 10s. They are not allowed to go anywhere but the job site. So if you over by Pizza Hut, there's that parking lot that we use. There's a big information sign there. It says WT with an arrow pointing in. It's the check-in. So they come in the morning. They have to get on boundary. They have to have their badge from Whiting Turner with a picture on it. And it doesn't matter if there's everybody in the vehicle. If there's four guys in a vehicle, they all have to have their ID or they get turned away.
Oh, wow.
They go right to the checkpoint. At the checkpoint, there's a proximity badge check-in. They got wired up with Wi-Fi over there. They've got their check-in. There's also a nurse. The nurse asks them 2 questions every day. Number 1, do you feel sick today? Number 2, have you knowingly come in contact with someone with COVID-19? If both answers are no, The next thing that happens is their temperature is checked with a digital thermometer. So we are screening every one of these workers. They go right from there to the job site. They have to bring their lunch with them every day. They're not allowed to leave the job site and go through drive-thrus or anything like that. When their workday is over, you'll notice on the back side of that sign it says WT check out. They have to pull in, check out with their proximity badge, and then directly off boundary.
Wow.
We're doing the same thing with the crews up at the hospital. They're screened every morning, just the same. And when the job workday is over, it's right off boundary. So those workers are absolutely the least threat to us.
Gotcha. Okay. So what are your priorities as we move forward with this, with the safety and concerns of the public here?
Well, the greatest concern, really, I mean, and if you talk to public health officials, and I just ask them kind of an open-ended question, where do you see our greatest threat to exposure? And without fail, every public health official that I talk to says the same thing, which is it will be more than likely one of our own tribal citizens who travels off boundary frequently, i.e. somebody who goes to Walmart 2 or 3 times a week, or who is making lots of trips off boundary and going to public places, particularly where you're using cards, touching keypads, touching door handles, things of that nature, and then coming back. And then if they're infected, then infecting their social group.
Gotcha.
That's typically how it happens.
Now, there's a large influx of people coming to the mountains you're aware of. Let's talk about what's happening with that. You're seeing a lot of people coming into Waynesville and surrounding areas.
So if you travel to Waynesville, to Silva, Franklin, Macon County did an order where they sent letters to all of of course, there are a lot of people with second homes.
Right.
And they sent letters to all of those homeowners and said, stay home.
Right.
If you live in Florida and you have a home in the mountains, don't come here, please. But if you do come here, there's an order, Jackson County has one as well, mandatory 14-day quarantine period.
Right.
So, but if you travel go to Waynesville, look in the parking lots.
Yeah.
There are lots of out-of-state tags in Waynesville, in Silva, in Swain County, in Macon County. So if you're a tribal citizen, the reason we did the stay-at-home order, the reason we're compensating our employees, we want you to stay home.
Yep.
Our best defense against this is for our people to stay on boundary and stay home.
Good. Well, as we have updates to this, and if there's anything new that comes of this, please come to the public here and let's share that information. But thank you for being vigilant and ensuring that everybody knows what's happening with the off-boundary tags and folks that are working here, and that they're actually very safe in the way that they're doing things, as safe as anybody around here is doing it. So
yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll update that as we can. Shki.